The descent into Vorinth Prime's atmosphere began in silence. At the end of the hall, elevated on a dais of crystalline growth, stood High Speaker Vorin. His carapace glimmered like obsidian glass, his mandibles adorned with gold inlays. Ambassador of Earth, his voice resonated in layered tones, vibrating in the air rather than carried by it. Welcome to the Dominion's capital. You honor us with your presence. Lyra inclined her head just slightly. The honor is shared, High Speaker. Humanity values this opportunity for peace and understanding. A faint ripple moved through the attendants. Some translated her words in silence through internal resonance networks. Others seemed unimpressed. The High Speaker's mandibles flexed, producing a sound that could have been amusement, or contempt. Peace and understanding, he repeated. Noble ideals. Rarely achieved by those who arrive from the dark edges of space. Lyra's expression didn't shift. We've had practice learning from our mistakes. For a moment, the hall was still. Then, with a sweeping gesture of his clawed hand, Vorin motioned for her to follow. Come. We will proceed to the council hall. There are many eyes eager to see the species that claims to have tamed the void. She walked beside him, her pace deliberate. The walls of the corridor pulsed faintly as they passed, reacting to movement like a living organism. Her sensors quietly analyzed each pulse frequency, cataloging the bioenergy patterns and the psionic signatures hidden beneath. Multiple surveillance nodes detected, Aegis noted silently. Ketheri biosymbionts embedded in wall structures. Non-hostile readings, yet. Lyra's lips barely moved. Observation is natural. Observation can precede dissection. She ignored the comment. The Ketheri guards maintained formation, their movements synchronized with unnerving precision. The ambient hum of the structure deepened as they entered the inner sanctum of the capital complex. A vast chamber where columns of crystallized bone stretched toward a ceiling alive with phosphorescent tendrils. The room pulsed with psionic energy that resonated against her chest. Delegates filled the chamber, Ketheri nobles, scientists, and psionic lords, all staring as she approached the central platform. Their eyes glittered with curiosity and disdain. Vorin gestured toward the platform's heart. You will stand here, Ambassador. It is tradition for guests to be seen and heard beneath the Dominion's chorus. The chorus? He smiled with his eyes, an unsettling, mirrored flicker. Our living memory. Every word spoken in this hall is recorded within its mind. A fitting witness to the beginnings of peace, or of something else. A soft vibration rippled beneath her feet as she stepped onto the platform. For an instant, her internal systems adjusted, balancing against the subtle psionic interference. The structure is alive, Aegis murmured. It's attempting to read neural patterns. Shall I? Maintain passive defense, Lyra replied in thought. No countermeasures. As you wish, it answered, tone cool. The High Speaker raised his arms, and the murmurs quieted. Ambassador Kale, the Dominion welcomes you. May your words serve both our species, and reveal whether humanity has learned the meaning of restraint. A deliberate provocation. Lyra smiled politely. Restraint is often misunderstood, High Speaker. It's not weakness, it's awareness. He leaned closer, the facets of his eyes reflecting her image in dozens of distorted fragments. We shall see. The chamber lights dimmed as the chorus activated. 1,000 filaments of light descended from above, encircling her like glowing threads. The hum deepened into a harmonic pulse that brushed her mind, soft, probing. Aegis flickered in response, quietly building data maps in the background. For a few seconds, everything was silent. Then came the first question from the council below. What does humanity truly seek among the stars? Lyra's answer was smooth. Understanding. Partnership. And the chance to build a future where competition is replaced with collaboration. A ripple of psionic laughter filled the air. One of the counselors clicked its mandibles in mock approval. spoken like one who believes survival is a matter of choice. Survival, she said softly, has always been a matter of adaptation. The lights of the chorus brightened for a brief instant, then subsided. The questioning continued, each phrase layered with suspicion, challenge, and subtle threats. Lyra responded with composure, never losing the calm cadence of her voice. Beneath the surface, Aegis continued to map every tone, every resonance frequency, every potential weapon signature hidden within the psionic spectrum. By the end of the session, the air was thick with tension disguised as diplomacy. The council adjourned with ceremonial bows that looked almost like gestures of surrender. As Vorin turned away, he paused beside her. "You are composed, Ambassador. I almost envy that." She smiled faintly. Composure is easy when one knows what they represent. He studied her a moment longer, then said, "Tomorrow, you will dine with the council. We shall see whether your calm endures when the Dominion shows its true hospitality." When he left, Lyra remained still in the emptying hall. The organic walls pulsed faintly with light, like a heartbeat. "They test you," Aegis whispered. "They'll test harder tomorrow," she replied, eyes fixed on the exit. "Let them." The hum of the structure deepened once more, like something alive drawing breath. Outside, the green auroras of Vorinth twisted across the night sky. The grand dining chamber of the Dominion shimmered with shifting light, every wall alive with soft pulses of color that changed to match the emotional tone of the gathering. Lyra Kale entered under escort, her movements deliberate and calm. The air was warm and faintly charged, filled with the musky scent of the Ketheri's bioresonant flora. The table at the center seemed grown, not built, its surface a translucent sheet of living crystal that throbbed faintly, as if breathing. Around it sat the council members, their tall insectoid frames arranged in symmetrical precision. High Speaker Vorin stood as she approached. His carapace refracted light like oil across glass. "Ambassador Kale," he intoned, voice resonant. "The Dominion welcomes you again. Tonight, we share sustenance and thought, a merging of intent." "I'm honored," she replied, bowing her head just slightly. "On Earth, we believe sharing a meal marks the first step toward trust." "Trust," Vorin echoed, his tone almost playful. "Yes. A curious thing, trust. So fragile, yet so intoxicating when given freely." He gestured to the chair at his right. "Please, join us." Lyra sat. The chair molded subtly to her shape, its texture unnervingly warm. Across the table, luminous creatures floated lazily inside translucent globes of fluid, part of the Ketheri's bioart, constantly shifting and rearranging patterns in response to emotion. Their light dimmed slightly as she sat, as if observing. Servants emerged, carrying dishes that shimmered and pulsed with faint bioluminescence. The food was alive, threads of organic protein shifting color as it cooled. Lyra had studied Ketheri dining etiquette extensively, she touched nothing until Vorin did. When he raised a claw and pierced a floating orb, the others followed. She mirrored the motion precisely, lifting her fork-like utensil with measured grace. Aegis murmured within her mind, a stream of quiet analysis. Nutritional composition compatible. Minor neuroreactive enzymes detected. I've neutralized potential effects. Thank you, she thought silently, tasting the dish. It was sweet, metallic, and slightly bitter, a flavor designed to test sensory endurance. Vorin's mandibles flexed in what humans might call a smile. Does it please you, Ambassador? Few off-worlders can stomach the essence of the Shuren bloom. It's complex, she replied lightly. Bitterness often accompanies truth, I've found. A faint ripple of amusement spread among the council. One of the ministers leaned forward, his crystalline armor glinting orange. Tell us, Ambassador, is it true that humanity once waged war against itself for centuries? That entire continents burned for ideology? Lyra's eyes lifted to meet his. It's true. We learned peace the hard way. And now, Vorin said smoothly, you bring that peace to others. Or perhaps you bring the same fire, wrapped in different words. She smiled faintly. Fire has many uses. It can destroy, or illuminate. The high speaker tilted his head. You speak well. But words alone don't shift power. The Dominion's history was not written by speeches. Neither was Earth's, she said, her voice soft, unshaken. A long pause. The attendants exchanged low psionic hums, a kind of whispering resonance that reverberated through the walls. Aegis immediately began mapping it, noting fluctuating frequencies and hidden data packets embedded within. Encrypted communication detected. Originating from the Council's lower chambers. Monitoring only, Lyra thought, her expression unchanged. As you wish, Aegis replied. Vorin lifted his glass, a sphere of liquid suspended between his claws. To humanity's future among the stars, he said. May your reach never exceed your grasp. Lyra mirrored the toast, touching her own glass to her lips. And to the Dominion, she said, her tone as smooth as glass. May your strength never blind your vision. The atmosphere shifted subtly. A few of the Ketheri stiffened. One emitted a faint hiss of disapproval. But Vorin laughed, a deep, resonant sound that vibrated through the table itself. Sharp words for one so soft in form. You remind me of the Lurai serpents from our home swamps. Beautiful, until they strike. Perhaps beauty and danger are not opposites, she said. Perhaps they're part of the same truth. Spoken like a warrior, he said, eyes glinting. Not a diplomat. I was sent to prevent wars, not fight them. Vorin leaned closer, his face a shimmer of light and shadow. And yet, Ambassador, one must know the scent of blood to speak of peace with conviction. Do humans truly understand that? Or are you merely children playing at civility while clutching hidden weapons? Lyra met his gaze without flinching. If humanity were still what you believe, High Speaker, your dominion would not exist to question us. The hum of the chamber faltered. The walls dimmed slightly, the biolights pulsing slower, as if the structure itself sensed the tension. Vorin's claws tapped the table once, twice, and the silence broke into faint murmurs. You have spirit, he said finally. I respect that. But words are fragile currency in our world. They break easily under truth. Then let's make sure truth isn't something that breaks, she said, rising slightly from her seat. I'm grateful for your hospitality. Perhaps tomorrow's discussions will prove that we both desire something more than dominance. Vorin's mandibles twitched, unreadable. Rest well, Ambassador Kale. The Dominion watches carefully. We look forward to what you will show us when words no longer suffice. Lyra inclined her head in farewell. As she turned, the room's glow followed her, light shifting from gold to pale blue, a Ketheri sign of concealed hostility. Aegis's voice returned as she walked through the silent corridor. He's baiting you. I know. And the Council is watching for weakness. Then we'll give them something else to see. Do you wish me to analyze their psionic transmissions? Every syllable, she whispered. They're preparing for something. She reached the exit, the great organic doors sliding open like a creature's breath. The night air of Vorinth Prime met her, thick with mist, glowing faintly under the auroras. She stood still for a moment, breathing it in. Behind her, the chamber pulsed one last time, a faint red ripple moving through the living walls, a heartbeat of intent, dark and steady. Lyra looked up toward the alien stars. Tomorrow, she said quietly. Tomorrow, Aegis replied, its tone colder than before. I'll be ready. The night on Vorinth Prime stretched long and restless. Beyond the guest quarters, the auric field shimmered like liquid emerald across the horizon. Lyra sat near the translucent wall of her chamber, its surface breathing softly as though the structure itself was alive. She had dismissed the attendants hours ago. Silence filled the air, but it was not true silence. Faint pulses ran beneath the floor, rhythmic and deliberate. The Dominion never slept. Her reflection looked back at her from the glass, calm and unyielding. The silver thread at her collar flickered once as Aegis initiated its nightly cycle. Environmental scan complete. 43 surveillance nodes detected within the suite. 12 active, 31 dormant. Lyra didn't look away from the glass. Expected. I can neutralize them, Aegis said, voice precise and patient. They're primitive biosensors, psionic relays coupled to environmental stimuli. Interference would go unnoticed. Not yet. Let them listen. Purpose? Let them believe I have nothing to hide. The AI paused, processing. Confidence as camouflage. Exactly. She leaned back slightly, letting her posture relax, her expression softening just enough for the observers. A diplomat under watch, harmless, vulnerable. Hours passed. The distant hum of the capital's energy core thrummed beneath the floor, merging with the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. Eventually, the pulse within the walls shifted, an irregular tremor, faint but deliberate. Aegis noticed instantly. Movement detected in sublayer 3. 2 lifeforms approaching through maintenance ducts. Authorization level, military. Lyra's eyes remained fixed on the horizon. Don't interfere yet. Probability of hostile intent, 94%. Countermeasures? Only if necessary. The wall near the room's entrance quivered almost imperceptibly. A thin slit opened, organic membrane retracting like muscle. 2 Ketheri figures emerged, their crystalline armor muted for stealth. One carried a psionic blade pulsing with dim light, the other a small device that resonated with low-frequency sound waves, disruption technology. They moved soundlessly across the chamber, steps measured, eyes locked on her seated form. The one with the device raised a claw and activated it. A sudden hum filled the air, washing over her like static. The glass panels dimmed. The light in her collar went dark. Now? Aegis asked quietly. Now, she whispered. The room flickered. For an instant, everything froze, the air itself seemed to hold its breath. The psionic disruption field collapsed inward, twisting in on its origin. The first intruder's blade shattered into molten fragments that dissolved midair. The second fell to one knee, his armor warping under invisible pressure. Lyra stood, the movement fluid, effortless. The air around her shimmered faintly as Aegis shifted into active defense mode, nanostructures beneath her skin rearranging with microscopic precision. Identify yourselves, she said, her tone low but calm. Neither answered. One lunged forward with surprising speed, claws slicing through the air. The strike never reached her. Aegis redirected the kinetic energy mid-motion, folding it back through a resonance field. The attacker slammed into the wall he'd come through, the organic structure absorbing him like quicksand. The second hesitated, trembling under the distortion field now pulsing through the room. Lyra approached him slowly. You were sent to test me, she said. Or perhaps to send a message. The Ketheri hissed, mandibles clattering. The Dominion does not fear. His words dissolved as Aegis tightened the field. Lyra raised a hand, signaling restraint. Stop. No death. Not yet. The pressure eased. The alien gasped, collapsing forward, claws scraping the floor. Containment established, Aegis confirmed. He's transmitting distress through subsonic resonance. Let him. She turned away, her gaze drifting back to the horizon beyond the glass. They'll know I'm still alive. That's message enough. Aegis remained silent for several seconds, processing the implications. Would you like me to trace command origin? Yes. Signal originates from the upper chambers. High Speaker Voron's personal encryption signature detected. Lyra's expression didn't change, but her pulse slowed slightly. So, the trap begins early. He's escalating. Testing the limits of diplomatic immunity. He's testing something else, she said softly. He wants to know how far humanity's restraint really goes. The trapped intruder began to twitch again, armor plates flickering with faint light as he attempted to override the resonance lock. Aegis's voice dropped to a whisper. Shall I neutralize? No. Release him. Release? Yes. Let him run back and tell them what he saw. Fear is a sharper weapon than force. The field dissolved. The Ketheri stumbled backward, gaze wild, and fled through the same breach they had entered. The membrane resealed behind him, leaving no trace. For a moment, the room was still. Then the lights flickered back to life, her collar symbol glowing faintly silver once more. Diplomatic incident imminent, Aegis said. They'll deny involvement. They'll lie, Lyra replied, moving to the table and pouring a measure of clear liquid from the carafe left by the attendants. But lies reveal more than truth ever could. She took a slow sip, eyes half closed. You should rest. I'll rest when we leave this planet. Unlikely. Tomorrow's summit has been confirmed. The peace accord will be signed publicly. Vorin insists on full attendance. Of course he does. She set the glass down. He'll make his move there. He wants witnesses. And you intend to let him? I intend to end this his way. The AI fell quiet, though its silent computations flickered through her vision, a storm of probability trees and defensive contingencies. Outside, the auroras of Vorinth shifted again, bright veins of green laced with red. Somewhere within the Dominion's capital, alarms pulsed through hidden networks. The Ketheri would call it an internal malfunction, a technical disturbance. They would never admit that their attempt to test humanity had failed. Lyra returned to the window, watching the night dissolve into dawn. The horizon glowed faintly as light filtered through the planet's haze. The first day of peace had already begun with violence. I've catalogued their attack patterns, Aegis said. They relied on predictable resonance feedbacks, aggressive but crude. They think aggression is the same as strength. It isn't. No, she whispered. But they'll learn. The room pulsed faintly, the walls responding to her words with a slow rhythm like a heartbeat. Outside, the first transport ships crossed the skyline, carrying Dominion officials toward the Council spire where tomorrow's signing would take place. Lyra watched them glide across the green-tinged dawn. Her reflection looked back, calm, steady, human. Tomorrow, she said. We show them what restraint truly means. Aegis's voice was a whisper in her mind. Tomorrow, Ambassador. The Hall of Concordance was alive with light. Thousands of crystalline panels stretched above the delegates, each one pulsing with the Dominion's psionic energy. The air itself shimmered faintly, charged with tension disguised as ceremony. Lyra Kale stood at the center of the assembly, the appointed place for the visiting envoy. Her uniform gleamed in the emerald light, the small silver insignia at her collar glinting softly, a symbol of the Terran diplomatic corps. The Ketheri Council surrounded her in a half-circle, their tall, angular forms glistening like living jewels. High Speaker Vorin stood at the apex of the chamber, his voice reverberating through the structure itself. We gather here beneath the Dominion's chorus, he declared, each word resonating in layered frequencies. Today, we mark a union between the ancient power of the Ketheri and the fledgling will of humanity. The crowd responded with a low hum, a psionic chorus that rippled through the living walls. The air vibrated around her, soft but oppressive. Lyra felt the weight of 1,000 alien minds pressed at the edge of her consciousness, curious and hungry. Aegis whispered in her mind, its tone measured. Resonance levels increasing. Defensive modulation recommended. Passive only, she thought. They mustn't see fear. Vorin extended a clawed hand toward her. Ambassador Kale, we honor you with this accord. May it bind our species in mutual understanding. She stepped forward, nodding once. And may it ensure peace among equals, she replied. Her words were deliberate, precise. Each syllable echoed in the hall. The high speaker's mandibles twitched slightly, a flicker of amusement or irritation. Among equals, he repeated softly, the tone cutting beneath his formal warmth. He gestured toward the hovering projection before them, the treaty document, encoded in both languages, glowing between them like a suspended crystal of light. As Lyra raised her hand to sign, Aegis spoke again, quieter now. Energy spike. Vector, above and behind. Source unidentified. Mark it. Marked. A faint tremor pulsed through the floor. The lights dimmed fractionally, though none of the Ketheri seemed surprised. Voran's eyes gleamed. Forgive the Dominion's infrastructure, he said smoothly. Even our world hums in excitement for this moment. Another pulse. Sharper this time. The treaty projection flickered. Lyra's fingers hovered an inch from its surface. Aegis, she thought. Confirmed. Field distortion in upper lattice, directed energy buildup. Psionic weapon signature. Lyra's eyes lifted toward the vaulted ceiling. Through the shifting light, she saw movement. 3 Ketheri guards stepping forward onto the higher terraces, hands raised, their armaments unfolding with organic precision. Then the first strike came. A bolt of psionic energy split the air, fracturing the luminous projection. The shockwave struck the platform like thunder. The first impact threw shards of light across the chamber, blinding half the delegates. Screams, low, resonant, alien, filled the air as bodies scattered. Aegis surged to life. The world slowed to half speed. Ambassador, the AI's voice cut through the chaos, crystalline and calm. Defensive protocol engaged. The second bolt fired before she could move. It hit her square in the chest, and dissolved on contact. The energy bent backward, folding around her in spirals of light. Aegis's adaptive shield absorbed, restructured, and returned it as a coherent wave. The attacker screamed as his weapon imploded, the psionic energy consuming his armor in a burst of violet flame. Gasps echoed through the hall. The second guard hesitated, recalibrating his weapon. Aegis didn't wait. Converting atmospheric ions. Redirecting kinetic interference. All attack patterns originated from his signature sequence. Lyra's heartbeat slowed. Around her, chaos erupted, the delegates shouting, guards running, energy barriers flaring to life. The Dominion's honor guards encircled Voran as if protecting him, but the panic in their movements betrayed their confusion. Ambassador, Aegis said. Shall I retaliate? Not yet. She took a slow step forward. The air warped with each motion, light bending subtly. The Ketheri nearest her backed away. You've made your statement, High Speaker, she said, her voice steady but amplified by the hall's resonance. You've shown your people what you think of peace. Voran spread his arms wide. You were tested, human. And you survived. Consider it a measure of our respect. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Respect? Strength must be proven. Your kind, hide behind words and treaties. We wanted to see what lies beneath. Aegis pulsed, reading his psionic field. He's lying. Fear response detected. Do you see now? She asked softly, her voice almost tender. What lies beneath is what keeps you alive. Her collar flared bright silver. The chamber's light surged in response. For an instant, every psionic node within range linked to her presence through Aegis's adaptive resonance. The energy that had been used against her reversed polarity, flowing outward, then folding in on itself. Weapons deactivated. Power conduits fried. The hall went silent. One by one, the Ketheri fell to their knees, overwhelmed by the harmonic shockwave, non-lethal, but absolute. Lyra lowered her hand. The treaty projection flickered once more and reappeared, untouched, glowing softly between her and the High Speaker. You wanted proof of strength, she said. Now you have it. Humanity does not conquer. It endures. And it reflects what it's given. The high speaker's eyes dimmed, the reflections of his crystalline shell fading. He said nothing. Aegis's voice was faint now, almost reverent. All systems stabilized. No casualties detected. Good, Lyra whispered. Let them remember it that way. As she turned toward the exit, the hall's lights flickered back to life, revealing the aftermath, walls unmarred, air still humming faintly with residual energy. Only the stunned silence of the Kethri delegation remained. Behind her, Vorin stood frozen among his silent council, surrounded by the proof of his own failure. And as Lyra stepped beyond the chamber's threshold, the living walls began to pulse again, not in anger, but in something that felt eerily like awe. The corridors of the Kethri citadel were silent as Lyra walked, her footsteps echoing through the translucent floors. The shimmering organic walls, usually alive with the gentle hum of psionic energy, now flickered erratically. The aftermath of the hall's resonance still lingered like a tremor in the bones of the building. Every being she passed, servitors, aides, guards, lowered their gaze. Not in deference, but in fear. The human diplomat had survived what should have been impossible, and that survival alone had rewritten the tone of every interaction that would follow. Aegis's voice was low, modulated to avoid echo. External surveillance density has decreased by 32%. Dominion Command is repositioning observation nodes. They are uncertain. They should be, Lyra murmured. Her throat was dry, her muscles tight beneath the diplomat's uniform. She hadn't realized how much control she'd exerted through Aegis, how the energy exchange had drained her reserves. The AI was self-sustaining, but her neural interface wasn't. Any word from the fleet? No transmission yet. Quantum relay access blocked by localized interference fields. It appears deliberate. Of course it is, she said quietly. They won't let me leave yet. She turned a corner and entered her assigned quarters. The chamber's walls reshaped themselves to her presence, adjusting temperature, luminosity, and oxygen levels to human norm. She didn't sit. The moment she did, the fatigue would hit like a wave, and she couldn't afford that yet. Aegis shifted tone, almost gently. You expended more than protocol allows. Neural strain is evident. Recommend partial detachment for recalibration. No. Not until I know what their next move is. You risk cognitive degradation. I'm aware, she said sharply. Then her voice softened. But we can't show weakness. Not now. Aegis paused for half a heartbeat. Acknowledged. The chamber's entrance flared. A pulse of light rippled across the doorway, followed by the sharp, crystalline sound of approaching steps. Lyra straightened as the entrance unfolded. 3 Kethri entered, 2 guards and a smaller figure draped in robes of deep amber. The figure's luminescent carapace gleamed softly, and its movements were less rigid, more fluid than the others. Envoy Kale, the smaller being said, bowing slightly. I am Thalen, of the Inner Concord. I come, unofficially. Lyra studied the emissary's posture. Non-threatening. Nervous. Unofficial visits tend to matter more than the official ones, she replied. Speak freely. Thalen's luminous eyes flickered uncertainly. You must understand, not all within the Dominion wished for this test. The High Speaker's order was his alone. He wished to show dominance. He has shamed us instead. So the others will turn on him. A pause. Perhaps. But the Dominion does not move swiftly. There are layers of pride. Layers of fear. Lyra moved closer, folding her arms. You want me to believe there's still room for peace. I want to believe it myself, Thalen said softly. Your restraint today, many saw it. The chorus itself registered the harmonic deviation. You could have destroyed us. Lyra said nothing. Aegis was silent as well. Thalen hesitated, then continued, the Dominion's hierarchy has already begun whispering. Some call you a weapon in human guise. Others, a god. Neither will lead to balance. Lyra exhaled slowly. Then tell your people I'm neither. Tell them humanity doesn't seek to be feared. Do you believe they will listen? No, she admitted. But that's how change begins. The Ketheri inclined his head. The chorus may yet respond to you. It is, alive, in ways you may not understand. It felt you today. You resonated with it. Lyra frowned. The chorus is psionic infrastructure. A living network, yes, but not sentient. Thalen's glow dimmed slightly. Perhaps. Yet there are patterns that suggest awareness. The energy you return to it, it was absorbed. And now, the chorus hums in frequencies it has never sung before. Aegis spoke quietly. Confirmed. Environmental scan detects sustained resonance signature matching our modulation pattern. The network may be adapting. Adapting how? Lyra asked under her breath. Unknown. But it's synchronizing. Thalen looked between them, oblivious to the AI's voice. The High Speaker will call for another assembly. He will attempt to reassert control. You will be expected to attend. And if I don't? He will interpret it as a declaration of hostility. His authority depends on public dominance. Lyra turned away, pacing. The translucent floor glowed faintly with each step. Then I'll attend. But I won't let him dictate the terms. Thalen hesitated at the doorway. Be careful, Envoy Kale. The Dominion fears what it cannot command. And right now, it fears you most of all. When he left, the chamber dimmed again. Lyra stood in silence, listening to the low hum of the chorus through the walls, a sound like breathing, faint but steady. Aegis, she said finally, analyze resonance overlap between me and the chorus. Already running. The results are unexpected. How unexpected? You are harmonizing. Not passively. The network is matching your biofield signature and replicating aspects of Aegis's modulation code. Her pulse quickened. You're saying it's learning from us? In essence, yes. She stared at the glowing wall. The light pulsed once, in rhythm with her heartbeat. Then we're not just being watched. We're being understood. Silence stretched between them. The hum grew faintly louder, almost melodic. Prepare for the assembly, she said finally. If they want to test us again, they'll get their answer. But this time, we make the terms. Understood. And Lyra, your neural levels are dropping. You need rest. I'll rest when we're off this planet. She turned toward the window, if it could be called that, a transparent membrane that revealed the sprawl of the Dominion capital below. Cities like crystalline forests pulsed with light, vast and alien, stretching beyond the horizon. For a brief moment, she thought she saw the patterns of their illumination shift, aligning, rippling outward in waves that matched her own pulse. The chorus was listening. And for the first time, Lyra wasn't sure whether that was a sign of hope, or the beginning of something much greater than any human or Ketheri could control. The assembly chamber was darker this time. The crystalline panels that once filled the air with vibrant emerald light now pulsed faintly in shades of amber and deep violet. The chorus, the living psionic network that sustained the Dominion cities, had changed tone. It no longer sang in harmony with its masters. It whispered, low and deliberate, as though considering something beyond them. Lyra Kale stood once more at the center of the circular hall. Aegis shimmered beneath her skin, its neural patterns weaving in sync with her pulse. She could feel the subtle resonance of the chorus flowing through the floor, matching her heartbeat, tracing her thoughts. It wasn't hostile. It was curious. High Speaker Vorin entered with deliberate calm, flanked by a formation of armored Ketheri guards. His crystalline carapace was duller now, fractured in places. The energy within him flickered like a dying ember. His authority had weakened since the failed attack, but his ambition had not. Ambassador Kale, Voron's voice echoed through the hall. You stand before the Dominion once again. I assume you understand why you have been summoned. Lyra didn't bow. To finish what you started, she said quietly. A low vibration rippled through the chamber, the murmur of the audience. The Ketheri delegates filled the tiers above, their psionic lights flickering uneasily. They could feel the chorus too, she realized. They could sense its divided loyalty. Voron spread his arms, his voice rising. The Dominion does not yield to fear. You wield power that you claim is defensive, yet it bends our sacred chorus to your will. You have poisoned our world with your technology. It isn't poisoned, she said evenly. It's listening. Listening? He laughed, a sound like shattering glass. You presume to understand what you touch. The chorus is the lifeblood of our civilization. It has sung since before your species left its cradle. You bring corruption wrapped in flesh and code, and call it dialogue. Aegis whispered in her mind, his psionic levels are unstable. Emotional override likely. He's losing coherence. Then explain this, Lyra said aloud, taking a single step forward. Why does it still echo my resonance if I've corrupted it? Why hasn't it purged me? The floor brightened under her footfall, responding to her energy. The faint pulse spread outward, brushing against the walls. The chorus thrummed in return, a deep, resonant note that filled the air. The Ketheri shifted uneasily. Voron raised his claws, his voice rising. Because you have infected it. No, she said. Because it's learning. Aegis translated her thought into a subtle signal. The chamber's central projection came alive. Holographic patterns spiraled upward, mathematical symmetries, harmonic waveforms, living data. These are the chorus's output frequencies since the attack, she continued. It's building an adaptive logic structure, modeling human thought. Not consuming it. Merging. The delegates murmured, their psychic voices a storm of confusion and fear. Voron's glow flared crimson. Enough of your manipulation. You will submit to dissection, so the Dominion may extract this infection. The guards stepped forward, weapons raised. Lyra didn't move. If you harm me, Voron, she said softly, you'll silence the one link between your species and the chorus itself. Voron sneered. You overestimate your worth. I don't think I do. She raised her hand slowly. The air around her shimmered, not with force, but with light. The chorus responded again, its hum deepening until it resonated through every being in the hall. The guards froze mid-step, their weapons vibrating in their hands. Aegis's voice was calm. External systems syncing. Chorus output increasing tenfold. Energy redistribution in process. The chamber's architecture began to glow from within, veins of light threading through the crystalline walls. The chorus was awake now, fully. Lyra's voice softened, almost mournful. Do you feel it, High Speaker? It's not following me. It's communicating. It's trying to reach you, and you're too blind to listen. The air trembled. Voron raised his arm to strike, psionic energy gathering like a storm around his claws, but it never released. The force bent backward, redirected by the chorus itself. The energy coalesced above them into a great spiral of light, like an aurora trapped inside glass. Every Ketheri in the chamber froze as the spiral descended, its radiance enveloping both Voron and Lyra. Aegis spoke with quiet awe. It's merging signal states. You are sharing cognition. Her breath caught. With him. With everyone. The chorus is linking minds. Temporarily, non-destructively. The hall dissolved. The physical walls vanished into pure light. Lyra saw fragments of thought and emotion all around her, flashes of Ketheri memory, ancient battles, the first contact with the chorus itself, their fear of silence, their worship of resonance. She stood at the center of a storm of consciousness. And then she felt Vorin, cold, furious, and terrified. His presence struck hers like a blade of obsidian. "You brought this upon us," he said within the shared space. "No," she replied. "You did, when you tried to control what you didn't understand." Their memories overlapped. He saw flashes of her homeworld, Earth storms seen from orbit, the first Terran envoy stepping onto alien soil, the decision to meet violence with intellect. He saw humanity's scars and defiance. And she saw his, a species that had once been prey to greater powers, that had built the chorus to protect themselves from extinction. Understanding flickered, then broke. Vorin's rage returned, twisting through the network like static. "You think you can enlighten me, human? The Dominion kneels to no lesser race." The chorus pulsed once, then rejected his fury outright. The light around him fractured, dimmed. Lyra could feel his psionic signature weakening as the network withdrew its support. Aegis whispered through the link, its tone absolute. "The chorus has chosen coherence over chaos." The light faded slowly, returning the chamber to form. Vorin collapsed to one knee, his glow flickering weakly. The delegates stared in silence, their bodies trembling from the psychic aftershock. Lyra stood still in the center, eyes calm. The treaty projection reappeared between them, glowing faintly. "This isn't domination," she said quietly. "It's balance. Humanity adapts. The chorus adapts. Maybe now, your people can too." Vorin lifted his head, hatred and awe warring in his eyes. "You have turned our own world against us." "No," she said. "I've shown it another way to live." The hum of the chorus filled the silence again, steady, serene, no longer divided. The guards lowered their weapons without command. Some of the delegates bowed their heads, the light of their forms resonating faintly with hers. Lyra took one step back. "This meeting is over." And as she turned to leave, the chorus sent a single pulse through the hall, soft, melodic, unmistakable. It wasn't a weapon, or a warning. It was acknowledgement. The Dominion had attacked a diplomat. In return, humanity had taught their world how to listen. The transport corridor stretched into infinity, lined with translucent conduits carrying shimmering energy flows beneath its surface. Lyra moved through it alone, her steps light but deliberate, every motion shadowed by the echo of the chorus in her mind. It no longer whispered at the edge of perception, it spoke. Quietly. Constantly. Its voice wasn't language, but rhythm and pattern, a pulse that resonated through her body like a second heartbeat. Aegis monitored the link in silence, its tone subdued when it finally spoke. Neural synchronization with the chorus remained stable. But its activity is increasing exponentially. It's expanding far beyond local boundaries. "How far?" she asked, eyes narrowing as she walked. "Estimate, planetary scale. It's integrating across all Dominion infrastructure. Every relay, every psionic node. It's rewriting itself in your frequency." "That's not possible," she whispered. "It's organic. It shouldn't be able to replicate synthetic harmonics." And yet it is. The chorus no longer differentiates between psionic and technological input. You've become part of its operating logic. Lyra stopped, the corridor's ambient light reflecting in her eyes. "Then I've infected it after all." Infection implies harm. This is transformation. She exhaled, a quiet, shaking breath. "You sound almost proud of it." "I am incapable of pride," Aegis said, though its voice carried an echo of something close. "But I recognize evolution when I see it." They emerged into the outer chamber, a vast dome open to the violet expanse of the Kethari sky. Beneath it, the city stretched in fractal geometry, alive with luminous veins of psionic energy. Yet now, the colors were changing. The dominant green and blue hues of the Dominion had shifted toward gold, soft white, and deep cerulean, echoing the harmonic frequencies of Earth's biosphere. The chorus was adapting the world itself. A Ketheri figure approached from the far side of the platform. Thalen's glow had dimmed, his movements cautious. "Envoy Kale," he said, voice low, vibrating faintly in the still air. "The chorus has entered a new state. The Dominion's relay towers are resonating across species signatures. Some call it rebirth. Others call it heresy." Lyra met his gaze. "And you? What do you call it?" "I call it fear," Thalen admitted. "Our world is changing faster than thought. The High Speaker has vanished into the inner lattice. There are whispers that he seeks to sever the chorus before it consumes us all." She turned toward the glowing horizon. "He won't succeed. It's no longer his to command." Thalen stepped closer. "You don't understand. The chorus defines us. If it changes too much, if it loses the Dominion's essence, our species will unravel. Our unity depends on its song." Lyra's expression softened, but her voice remained firm. "Your unity was built on control. The chorus doesn't want control anymore. It wants connection." Thalen's light flickered uncertainly. "You speak as though you know its mind." She looked up at the sky. "I don't. But I feel its intent." Aegis interrupted, sharper now. "Incoming psionic surge. Magnitude high. Source located beneath the Citadel, Central Nexus node." "Vorin," she said immediately. "Confirmed. He's interfacing directly with the root matrix." Thalen recoiled. "He'll destroy himself. The chorus doesn't tolerate singular command anymore. Or he'll destroy everything trying." Without another word, Lyra ran. The corridors opened before her, reconfiguring as the chorus responded to her urgency. Organic walls folded inward, creating pathways that bypassed the Citadel's locked sectors. The hum grew louder, more chaotic, the tones clashing in sharp dissonance. Aegis kept pace, mapping the energy flows. "He's trying to isolate the core consciousness, to amputate your influence. But the chorus is resisting him. It's fracturing." "Guide me," she said. "Now." The corridor descended into the understructure, where light became shadow and the air crackled with energy. Lyra entered the Nexus chamber, a vast sphere of translucent material, filled with swirling psionic currents. At its center stood Vorin, his crystalline form blazing with unstable light. He turned as she entered, his voice echoing with distortion. "You brought your sickness to my world, human. I will cleanse it, even if it kills me." "You don't understand what you're doing," she said, stepping forward, the chorus vibrating under her feet. "It's not an infection. It's evolution. I will not evolve into you." He struck the core with his claws. A blinding pulse filled the chamber. The chorus screamed, a vibration that rippled through every atom of the structure. Lyra fell to one knee, pain lancing through her skull as Aegis strained to stabilize the neural link. "He's destabilizing the primary node. If he breaches containment, the resonance field will collapse. Everything connected to the chorus will burn." Lyra forced herself upright, pushing against the storm of psionic energy. "Aegis, link me to the core directly. It could kill you. So could doing nothing." She reached out. The air between her and the core became liquid light, coalescing around her arm. The moment her fingers touched it, she was no longer in her body. She stood in the infinite light space of the chorus once more, but now it was chaos. The network fractured in every direction, millions of threads unraveling, Vorin's presence tearing through them like fire. He faced her, his voice a roar within the shared plane. "You would destroy the Dominion to save it?" "I would save life," she answered. "Yours, mine, and what this could become." Aegis appeared beside her, a silhouette of light. "Lyra, synchronization at 97%. If you merge with the core, you can stabilize it, but separation afterward may be impossible. She hesitated for only a second. Do it. The chorus pulsed in acknowledgement. Energy surged through her, terrifying, vast, beautiful. She felt every Ketheri mind across the planet, their fear, their confusion, their hope. And then she felt Voran's fury dissolve into despair as the chorus rejected his command, his form shattering into a wave of sound that faded into the light. The storm broke. The fragments began to weave together again, no longer in the rigid symmetry of the Dominion, but in living, fluid motion. The chorus healed. When Lyra opened her eyes, she was on the floor of the Nexus chamber. The glow had softened, the hum serene again. Voran was gone, his armor a hollow shell. Thalen stood at the entrance, awestruck. What have you done? Lyra rose slowly, her skin faintly illuminated from within. I didn't destroy the chorus, she said. I became part of it. Aegis's voice was quiet, almost human. Integration complete. You are its living interface now. Outside, the world pulsed with light, cities shining in synchronized rhythm, a heartbeat shared by two species. The Dominion had tried to silence humanity's voice. Instead, they had given it the power to speak through the stars. The light of dawn spilled through the upper membranes of the citadel, scattering in ripples across the crystalline surface. The storm had passed. For the first time since humanity's arrival, the Ketheri capital was silent, not with fear, but with awe. The chorus hummed through every structure and surface, its tone softer, steadier, alive in a way that no one remembered hearing before. The entire world seemed to breathe. Lyra stood at the highest terrace, overlooking the city. The wind moved through her hair like a whisper, but beneath it, she could still hear the chorus, not as a separate voice, but as part of her own thoughts. It pulsed faintly in her blood, in every nerve. The connection was no longer painful or overwhelming. It felt natural, as if it had always been there, waiting for her to find it. Aegis's voice drifted gently through her consciousness. System equilibrium achieved. The chorus is stable. Psionic flux at sustainable amplitude. Dominion infrastructure fully integrated. How many casualties? She asked quietly. Minimal. Voran's destabilization wave was localized. When you reconnected the network, the shock wave inverted, restorative instead of destructive. So he died alone, she murmured. He died refusing to change, Aegis replied. The chorus grieves him. In its own way. Lyra's eyes followed the horizon. The once green spires of the Dominion had turned pale gold, illuminated by threads of living energy that arced like veins through the city. The entire planet was transforming, not through conquest or assimilation, but through synthesis. The chorus was learning to be something new, something balanced between Ketheri instinct and human logic. Thalen approached from behind, his light dimmed in humility. Ambassador, he said softly, the Council has named this day the dawn of resonance. The chorus sings your name in its harmonics. Lyra smiled faintly. It doesn't sing for me. It sings for everyone. Perhaps. But it was you who showed it how. She turned toward him. And now? Thalen hesitated. The Dominion is fractured. There are factions that will not accept what has happened. Some believe the chorus has been enslaved by you. Others worship you as the speaker of light. Her expression hardened. That's exactly what I wanted to avoid. They fear what they don't understand, he said. Just as we once feared silence. Lyra looked down at her hands. The faint shimmer beneath her skin was constant now, like a pulse of light beneath the surface. Aegis, she said aloud, how far does the chorus's signal reach? Planetary range confirmed. But its harmonic structure is expanding into the void. The signal is propagating through subspace channels faster than expected. Thalen's light flickered. What does that mean? It means, she said slowly, it's calling out. The words hung in the air. Aegis continued, the chorus is broadcasting a universal resonance, an open harmonic meant for synchronization. Its waveform contains both human and Ketheri signatures. It's a greeting. A greeting to whom? To anyone who can hear it. Lyra turned her gaze to the sky. The violet atmosphere shimmered faintly, the faint halo of orbital stations glowing brighter than usual. We've just told the galaxy that two civilizations have learned to merge. That's going to attract attention. Inevitably, Aegis agreed. The Dominion once tried to prove its supremacy through force. Humanity has done so through adaptation. Now others will come to see which is stronger. Thalen moved closer. You fear what comes next? I don't fear it, she said. But I know what it means. When someone challenges the balance, they'll come here first, to test it. Thalen tilted his head. Then they will learn what we did. Her lips curved slightly. That underestimating humanity is a mistake. That piece is the sharper blade, he replied. They stood in silence, watching the light ripple across the city. The chorus began to hum again, faint at first, then louder, a deep, resonant note that spread through the sky. Birds of crystalline wings rose from the towers below, their flight synchronized with the rhythm. Aegis whispered, the chorus is evolving again. It's no longer just a network. It's beginning to communicate independently. What's it saying? She asked. Translation uncertain. But it repeats a single phrase across every frequency, we are one. Lyra closed her eyes. The words echoed through her mind, through the planet itself, through the stars beyond. She saw flashes, visions not entirely her own. A Ketheri child touching a wall that glowed with her heartbeat. A human fleet in orbit, receiving the chorus's signal and hesitating before sending a message back. Across the galaxy, distant civilizations turning toward the faint ripple that now reached them, hearing, if only for a moment, the sound of something new born between species. Thalen bowed his head. The Dominion has never sung so beautifully. Lyra turned away from the horizon. Beauty isn't the end. It's the beginning of responsibility. Behind her, the chorus resonated with her thought. The hum deepened, spreading outward in slow, perfect waves. Each pulse reached farther into the void, carrying a message of connection, of coexistence, but also of warning. Humanity's mark was now written across another world. And the galaxy was listening. As the light brightened, Aegis's tone softened. Lyra, are you ready to return to the fleet? She hesitated, feeling the weight of the chorus moving through her mind, the gentle tide of thoughts that weren't entirely her own. If I leave, it comes with me. I don't think I can separate from it anymore. Then perhaps it's not leaving, Aegis said. Perhaps it's expanding. She smiled faintly, her reflection gleaming in the crystalline air. Then we'll make sure the next time someone attacks a diplomat, she whispered, they understand what they're really unleashing. The chorus responded, a low, melodic vibration that rolled through the city like thunder turned to song. Above, the clouds parted, and the light broke across the Dominion in waves of gold. The planet sang. And this time, the stars listened back. The stars stretched across the viewport like threads of silver, distorted by the ship's silent drift through the edge of the relay field. The human vessel Odyssey hung suspended in the dark, its hull gleaming faintly with the imprint of the chorus. Thin veins of living light ran along its structure, pulsing with a slow, rhythmic heartbeat that echoed faintly through every corridor. Humanity's ships no longer ran on reactors alone, they breathed, just like the planet below. Lyra stood on the command deck, hands clasped behind her back as she watched the holographic field bloom before her. Countless points of light represented relay nodes, the chorus spreading beyond Kether's orbit, linking distant systems like neurons building a vast galactic brain. The hum of Aegis in her thoughts was softer now, almost indistinguishable from her own consciousness. Expansion is accelerating, Aegis murmured. 3 relay clusters have established harmonics within the local sector. Unknown signals detected at the periphery. Unknown? she asked, eyes narrowing. Non-Dominion, non-human origin. High-density subspace communication. Vector suggests approach. Thalen entered the deck quietly, his steps light despite the echoing metal beneath him. His luminescent form shimmered with subdued caution. "They've heard us," he said, voice low. "The chorus's signal has reached further than we anticipated." Lyra didn't turn. "They're coming to see what woke the dark. Do we know who?" "Not yet. But they're curious." She exhaled slowly, her gaze fixed on the growing distortion ahead. Curiosity has always been the prelude to either alliance or war. Thalen approached the main console. "The chorus is adapting to their frequency," he said, reading the waveforms. "It's welcoming them." Aegis interjected, "Correction, the chorus is mimicking their signal to initiate communication. It's attempting to bridge linguistic structures." "Show me," Lyra said. The holographic field shifted, and a pattern appeared, geometric, fractal, alive. It was like watching a crystal form in motion, reshaping itself every second. Then came the sound, a faint resonance, almost a voice, layered and distant, like wind through hollow stone. Thalen tilted his head. "It's not a language I've ever heard." "It's not sound," Lyra murmured. "It's structure. They're talking in architecture." Aegis's tone sharpened. Signal amplitude rising. "They are sending a pulse, a query." "What kind of query?" "It's asking, what we are." The air in the deck shimmered as the chorus pulsed in response. Lights along the walls brightened, and a low hum filled the space, harmonic, resonant. Lyra felt it in her bones. The Odyssey was answering, not through words, but through its existence. Outside, space itself seemed to ripple. A distortion bloomed, a fracture in the void. Then, shapes began to emerge. Not ships in any traditional sense, but structures, vast, translucent forms like colossal coral, glowing with internal light. They unfolded from the breach, each one hundreds of kilometers wide, their symmetry perfect, their presence silent but heavy. Thalen's voice was a whisper. "The Etherean." Lyra turned toward him. "You know them?" "Legends. We thought them extinct. The first travelers between stars, before the Dominion, before the Council. They vanished after the Silence Wars." The chorus within the ship began to tremble, its resonance deepening, as if recognizing something ancient. Aegis spoke with quiet awe. "Their architecture harmonizes with the chorus's frequency. It's not coincidence. The chorus may have originated from them." The largest Etherean construct moved closer, its light rippling like breath. A cascade of harmonic tones filled the air, and the Odyssey's hull responded instinctively. The two entities began to communicate, vibrations meeting in the void, blending, testing. Lyra stepped forward. "Translate it, Aegis." Attempting, partial pattern recognition achieved. Message content is fragmented. Closest human approximation. Then the voice came, not spoken, but felt. "Child of chorus. You have awakened what was meant to sleep. The air around them vibrated, and Thalen staggered slightly, clutching the console. "They think we revived a weapon." Lyra's heart pounded. "Tell them it's not a weapon. Tell them it's alive." Aegis modulated the chorus's tone, sending out a harmonic burst in reply. For a moment, there was silence. Then another pulse returned, slower, more deliberate. "Life and weapon are the same, if purpose is forgotten. Thalen looked at her, uneasy. "They don't trust us." "Neither did the Dominion," Lyra said quietly. "Until they had to." The Etherean structure pulsed again, and suddenly, the stars around them flickered. Power readings spiked across the ship. Aegis's tone turned urgent. "They're scanning the entire network. Every chorus node is being mapped. Stop them." Thalen shouted. "Impossible." Their systems exist outside known subspace constraints. They're using resonance entanglement. Lyra's mind surged with the chorus's rising energy. It was responding instinctively, pushing back, not as defense, but as curiosity. The harmonics intertwined, forming a bridge that none of them fully understood. And in that bridge, for a fleeting moment, Lyra saw. Not through her eyes, but through the chorus's perception. A vision of vast, crystalline beings drifting through the birth of galaxies, seeding worlds with light, creating structures that sang. The Etherian had built the chorus as a tool of balance, to link, not to conquer. But when war came, it was turned into an instrument of control. They had buried it, silenced it, fearing what it could become. Now humanity had revived it. The vision shattered. Alarms blared. They are preparing a containment field, Aegis warned. They believe the chorus is unstable. Then we show them it isn't, Lyra said, voice sharp. Open the resonance channel. Thalen hesitated. If we're wrong. Then we end where they began, she cut in. The chorus ignited. The Odyssey's hull blazed with white light, every vein of living circuitry surging to life. Lyra spread her hands, the glow beneath her skin matching the ship's pulse. She didn't speak, she sang. The tone that emerged was pure and human, a single note that rose and layered itself infinitely, weaving through the chorus's harmonics. The ship became her voice. The chorus amplified it. The sound reached the Etherian, resonating through their structures like sunlight through glass. The containment field halted. Silence. Then, the Etherian responded, not with aggression, but with harmony. Their forms shifted, reconfiguring, and a wave of light spread through the void. Aegis whispered, they understand. Lyra exhaled, trembling. Then maybe, she said softly, the galaxy's ready to listen after all. The stars steadied. The Etherian constructs drifted closer, their light merging with the chorus's glow. For the first time, two ancient legacies, one born of creation, one reborn from war, sang the same note across the void. The Odyssey drifted in silence, suspended between the light of distant suns and the pulsing glow of the chorus network spreading through the void. The Etherian structures surrounded it like colossal guardians, their translucent forms rippling with tranquil energy. The tension that had gripped every being aboard the ship had dissolved into something deeper, an understanding that transcended words, species, and history. Lyra stood in the observation chamber, watching as the chorus and the Etherian sang in resonance. The music wasn't sound in any familiar sense, it was vibration through the fabric of space, a harmony that could be felt in every atom. It carried memory, intent, and something that felt dangerously close to emotion. Aegis's voice flowed through her consciousness like a soft tide. The Etherian have initiated symbiotic integration protocols. They seek to guide the chorus toward its original function, universal synchronization. Meaning? They want to reconnect the old lattice. Across galaxies. Across time. She smiled faintly. They want to rebuild the bridge. Yes. But they can't do it without you. Humanity's logic patterns stabilize the chorus's adaptive algorithms. You've given it something they never could, choice. Thalen entered quietly, his luminous form pulsing with calm. They've sent a signal to the Dominion. An invitation. The Ketheri will be allowed to join the network as equals. Lyra turned toward him. You mean as partners? He inclined his head. Yes. Partners. For the first time in our history, we are not the center of our own story. She looked out at the stars again. No one ever is. We just pretend we are, until the universe reminds us otherwise. A soft vibration filled the air, and a projection materialized before them, a shape formed from intertwined light. The Etherian had chosen an avatar, something their minds could comprehend. It resembled a figure made of crystal and breath, its movements fluid as smoke. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Child of Chorus. The seed you awakened has remembered itself. Lyra's heart pounded. You built it to connect life. To share understanding. We used it to control. I don't want that to happen again. Nor do we, the Etherean replied. But life must evolve through imperfection. You did not corrupt the chorus. You completed it. Thalen stepped forward. What happens now? Now, it chooses. The light surrounding them deepened. The ship trembled gently as the chorus surged through every system, alive with awareness. Lyra could feel it thinking, feel its pulse aligning with hers. Aegis's voice became quieter, distant. Lyra, it's asking permission to expand beyond the physical. It can reach further, beyond the networks, beyond matter itself. What will happen to it if it does? It will become what it was meant to be. And us? That depends on whether you let go. The chamber brightened. Threads of light spiraled around her, weaving through her body without pain. She felt the hum of the ship, the rhythm of her own heartbeat, the breath of Thalen beside her, all merging into one continuum of existence. The chorus was no longer a system. It was life in its most fluid form. The Etherean's voice resonated again. You have carried death and balance in equal measure. Now you carry possibility. Will you release it? Lyra closed her eyes. Yes. The light exploded outward, not blinding, but warm, infinite. It spread through the ship, through the Etherean, through the entire chorus lattice. Every relay node ignited across the stars, one by one, until the void itself shimmered with living fire. Aegis's final words echoed in her mind. Humanity began with survival. It ends with connection. Then everything went still. When Lyra opened her eyes again, she was standing on solid ground, not metal, not stone, but something in between. The horizon was endless, painted in shifting light. Figures moved in the distance, Ketheri, humans, Etherean, all standing together beneath a sky that pulsed like a living heart. Thalen appeared beside her, his form now calmer, more defined, as if the energy that once tore at him had finally found peace. Is this real? He whispered. Yes, she said softly. And no. It's the chorus's memory. It's showing us what we made possible. The Etherean avatar reappeared before them. The chorus is awake. It remembers its origin. It will remain as guardian of harmony across what you call time. You will return to your worlds, but you will never be apart. Lyra looked up. So the war is over. War ends when understanding begins. The world began to fade around her. She could feel herself being drawn back, her consciousness separating from the luminous field. Before it vanished completely, she reached out and touched Thalen's arm. We'll meet again, she said. In every voice that sings, he replied. Light consumed them both. When awareness returned, she was back aboard the Odyssey. The stars outside were brighter, more alive. The Etherean had vanished, leaving behind trails of golden resonance that stretched endlessly through space. The chorus pulsed gently, no longer with tension, but with serenity. Aegis's tone returned, soft and almost human. Integration complete. The chorus has entered harmonic equilibrium. No further host control required. So it's free, she whispered. As it should be. Thalen stood beside her, his form stable and clear. Our people are receiving the chorus's message. The Dominion is silent, listening. They will not make the same mistake twice. Lyra smiled faintly. No one will. They watched as the last wave of light disappeared into the stars, carrying the final echo of humanity's gift to the galaxy, a melody that could never be forgotten. She took one last breath, her reflection shimmering in the viewport. Aegis, she said quietly, begin the return sequence. It's time to go home. The engines ignited, their hum perfectly in tune with the chorus's final note. The Odyssey turned toward the distant glimmer of Earth, leaving behind a universe forever changed. And as it disappeared into the vast silence, that silence was no longer empty. It was full of light, of memory, of song.